On today's show, it's an Ottawa Senators game day in the world's most famous arena, Sens Rangers, live from New York.
We'll have a full game day preview for you, and we'll take a look at the crazy Eastern Conference wildcard race.
This is Brady Kachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Today is Tuesday, January 21st, and Pilsy, the enormous week we discussed yesterday begins tonight in New York. The Rangers are humming along, and the Ottawa Senators have another tough test ahead of them.
Yeah, the New York Rangers are finding their form again, Ross, and anytime you go to Madison Square Garden, it's one of the top arenas in the league. All eyes will be on this game tonight, and it's a huge one as far as the Eastern Conference wildcard standings go, because both of these teams are very close, and this is another 4-point game, Ross. A win here, especially in regulation, would do wonders for the team that gets it and really sets back the team that doesn't.
Neither of these teams has lost in regulation in their last 6 games. For the Rangers, it's 8. Now, both teams have the same amount of wins, Ottawa in 6 and the Rangers in 8. The Rangers have 3 OT/shootout losses in there, but both teams are red hot coming into this game. For the Senators, they had a full day off yesterday, well-deserved. Still no word on whether they'll have a morning skate today, but what we do know is that Linus Ullmark is on the trip. Has not taken part in a team practice yet, so I wouldn't hold my breath that he is in tonight. That's what fans are wondering, though. Who starts in goal? Anton Forsberg coming off one of his best performances of the season, earning those 2 points for Ottawa, while Levi Merilainen played a lot of hockey there up until including Saturday. Where do you go in the pipes tonight?
I'm leaning towards Levy, Ross. I haven't really changed my opinion on that because he hasn't played since Saturday, so he's got a couple days off here. And after the discussion we had yesterday about the goaltending, I think it's very likely once they are confident that Linus Ullmark is fully healthy that we see Levi Merilainen get sent back down as the risk-free option, especially now that Forsberg at least had one good game where he inspired some confidence. So get Levy playing in these games while he can, in my opinion.
So that's a great way to put it. I'll spin it in this way then for Anton Forsberg. You have to be sure that he can be a consistent contributor to this team if he's going to be here the rest of the year. Getting 2 games in a row would be a start for that.
Yeah, and that's fair. And I mean, he's coming off a good game against the Devils, so you want to kind of keep him in a good groove. You don't want him to lose that rhythm that he had. But Rossi, like, the thing is, though, and this goes back to our discussion as well, even if, let's say, he does start in New York tonight and has a bit of a stinker, does that change your opinion of what you're going to do with Forsberg, though? Like, I don't think you waive him after that or trade him after that, because what we talked about still remains true. If you end up losing Forsberg one way or another, then you've got Levy and Linus Ullmark. But if Linus Ullmark gets injured again, then Levy's on an island, and you got to find someone that can they don't even have anyone that can play NHL games right now. They'd have to sign a new deal with Subban or Michael Simpson, or they'd have to go acquire someone. So I hear what you're saying, but I don't know if a small sample size, like 1 game or even 2 games for Forsberg, would change the Ottawa Senators' approach to how they're going to handle the goaltending situation once Ullmark is healthy.
So funny that we're talking like a goaltending controversy right now, where the Ottawa Senators, since Linus Ullmark got hurt, have the tied for 7th best goals against average in the National Hockey League with the Edmonton Oilers, 2.46 goals against for the Sens. Now, they've only averaged 2.08 goals for per game.
Yeah.
but that's improved of late. They get the 5 plus the shootout winner on Saturday. They had 5 last Saturday as well. I guess it's something about Saturdays. Saturdays for the Sens, man. They're scoring 5 on Saturdays and sprinkling in a couple goals here, but they're beating you different ways. Like, we would have begged the Ottawa Senators from the last 3 years to win games 2-1, 2-0. And they've done that each in the last week. The 2-0 win over the Islanders, the 2-1 win over the New Jersey Devils on Sunday. And then even the 1-0 OT loss where you get a point. You give up 1 goal and it takes extra time to do it. So the Sens, I feel like they've been getting such great goaltending. It's interesting to start the show there, but people are curious. I'd go with Levy, but I understand if they want the veteran to get his feet under him for a second consecutive game. How will the Sens line up tonight? Make sure you're following along at Sens Central. We will have all the latest updates if and when there is a morning skate or when Travis Green speaks to the media. We're doing our old 8:30 a.m. recording here on a Tuesday, and we've got the same lines up as they used in New Jersey, which means Josh Norris is centering Brady Tkachuk and Drake Batherson. Tim Stützle is between Claude Giroux and Adam Gaudette. Shane Pinto between Nick Cousins and Ridley Gregg. And then Zach Ostapchuk is in the middle between Matthew Highmore and Michael Amadio. On the back end, Jake Sanderson with Artem Zub, Thomas Chabot with Nick Jensen, Tyler Clevin with Nicholas Matin-Paolo, and it's your best guess who starts in goal. Pilsy, your lookout player to watch.
My locked-on player to watch for the Ottawa Senators is number 7, Brady Tkachuk, the captain. I mean, look, the Ottawa Senators have found ways to win without Brady chipping in. He has not had a point in the last 7 games. His only point all year, 2025, was a goal on January 1st up against the New York Rangers. Number 7, 7-game pointless streak. Let's snap that and let's have a big night for him. We know he loves playing at Madison Square Garden, that iconic game where he fights Trouba at center ice, ties the game late, and then scores the OT winner. Let's get some of that New York magic back for number 7. So I'm going to be locked on to Brady Tkachuk, Ross, because with a line of Norris and Batherson as his line mates, there's no reason why they can't have success tonight.
Last year, his longest pointless streak was 4 games. He's almost doubled that. If he doesn't get one tonight. Now, let's not act like Brady hasn't been doing anything out there. He's been hitting, he's been shooting, he's been doing good things defensively.
Yep.
Had 8 shots on Saturday, and then stood in front of Jeremy Swayman for that 4th goal to go in, 3rd goal rather, to go in on the point shot that was tipped from Josh Norris. But he needs to feel good about himself, and I think a goal at MSG would be just what the doctor ordered. So I think that's a great call for you. I'm going to go a little off the board. I'm going to go with Zach Ostapchuk. Look, I think that it was great to get the monkey off his back with that goal Sunday. First career NHL goal for Zach Ostapchuk. He's been doing a lot of good things with his skating, his physicality, gets in the fight on Saturday with Mark Kastelik, but 32 games this season in the NHL. That was his first goal, and he told Gord Miller from TSN, he said, I've never gone that long without scoring in my life. Doesn't it feel like the kind of guy where we could see him get another tonight? That's what I'm calling a Zach Ostapchuk goal again tonight. And I will be putting, I don't know, $3.80 maybe on it on FanDuel. But I just think that he's been doing so many good things away from the puck. It's about time he gets rewarded with some offensive output.
I like that, Ross. Keep it going for Zach Ostapchuk. And Ross, there's a guy that is not afraid of Matt Rempe.
No. And you can go check out their fight in the WHL where we'll say Zach Ostapchuk at 6'3" climbed the ladder to KO Matt Rempe when Zach was with the Vancouver Giants. So go check that out. He was a Giant and he took down another in Matt Rempe, who's coming off a spirited tilt. All of his fights are spirited, but he doesn't really win a lot of them, Matt Rempe. That's the thing about him.
Yeah, I mean, he's just so big and intimidating. I think you just get that in your head that that he's one of the top enforcers. But yeah, I'd have to go through and check the win-loss draw column on hockeyfights.com.
Yeah, he does not have a winning record, let's put it that way. But Zach Ostapchuk is my locked-on player to watch tonight. I'll be very intrigued to see. I know he's only going to play probably 8, 9, 10 minutes in this game, but he's coming off a great performance, 3 hits and a goal, and only played 7 minutes and 14 seconds. So I'm going to be curious to see him. Fun note about Zach Ostapchuk as well. I was puttering around the stats on moneypuck.com, all the advanced stats that they have there. And if you look at it, he has one of the most shifts that start on the fly. So the coach puts him out in the middle of a shift versus, 77% of his shifts start on the fly.
Actually, that doesn't surprise me thinking about it, Ross. I'd be curious to see what other fourth lines are like, because how many situations in a draw are you like, let's get the fourth line out there? Like in the offensive zone, not really. In the defensive zone, not really. So maybe neutral zone draws, but thinking about it now, that actually kind of makes sense that's often for him in the fourth line.
The only forward who has more percentage of their shifts starting on the fly is Curtis McDermott, who was a defenseman at one point. He's just a fighter, so they just put him wherever they can with the New Jersey Devils. And then Justin Dowling, who, if you heard Frank the Tank on Twitter, he's a big Devils fan. He wants that guy to the moon after the giveaway that led to the Senators' game-winning goal. But yeah, nobody else other than Curtis McDermott and Zach Ostapchuk are over 75% of their shifts starting on the fly. So just something to watch for in tonight's game. Pilsy, the New York Rangers, after the break, we'll take a look at their lineup, our lookout player, keys to a Senators victory, and we'll wrap up the show. Holy smokes. Feels like at this time last year, we were already starting to do spins for the draft lottery. And now every day we're looking at some Eastern Conference scoreboard, watching what happened last night. What are we hoping for tonight? Those conversations are next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. The FanDuel app is easy to navigate, and the variety of bets keeps every game exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. You don't have to sit around and wait for those dollars to get into your account. You get green numbers in your account ASAP. That's why we love FanDuel. Whether you're betting on your favorite team or just looking to add some extra excitement to the playoffs, FanDuel has you covered. Let's head over to FanDuel.com right now to check out the odds for the Ottawa Senators versus New York Rangers game tonight. Ross, the Ottawa Senators are underdogs in this one, plus 108 on the money line, and the over-under is set at 5.5. So if you want to get in on the action, do it with North America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this NFL playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
All right, Pilsy, it's game day from New York City. 7 o'clock puck drop. MSG. We will have the postcast for you after tonight's game. Looking forward to another great Ottawa Senators road game where, Pilsy, the road woes, that's a thing of the past. The Ottawa Senators on the road this season are above 500. 12, 11, and 2 on the road this year. Look at us. Who would have thought? Not me.
Yeah, and it's awesome, Ross, because really looking back at that, a lot of those are the hard Western Conference road trips. So we got those out of the way. We managed to stay above 500, and now pretty much all of isn't it just 2 more road games in the West, and they're like Chicago and Nashville or something? You had that tweet a little while ago. So those aren't even like crazy travel days or anything, although don't get me started about playing in Chicago. So the Ottawa Senators, they really have a favorable schedule moving forward for the rest of the season, which is what you want to see.
And I tweeted out yesterday, since Lily Levitan arrived, and we know that streak, but it's continued. Yesterday, I posted on Twitter at my personal account the NHL standings since November 25th. The Ottawa Senators have the 3rd best record in the National Hockey League. 3rd most points, I should say. Only the Washington Capitals and Edmonton Oilers have better records than the Senators, 16, 7, and 3 mark. Now, Montreal's 4th, Dallas is 5th, Colorado is 6th, and Vegas is 7th. So it's almost like the 2 Canadian teams in there in Ottawa and Montreal. I know Edmonton's meant to be there, but everyone else, it's like, yeah, if you had told me the top 5 was Washington, Edmonton, Dallas, Colorado, and Vegas, I would have been like, yeah, that makes sense. But look at Ottawa, look at Montreal. What they're doing is pretty incredible here, and we'll see how the second half of the season continues. But I love, there's a comment on our Twitter account that said, look, we're pretty much playing 37 more Game 7s. Like, it feels every night like it's a playoff game. I know they had that tough turnaround with travel and basically relied heavily on Anton Forsberg in the first period. But for the most part, they've been playing a lot of good hockey so far for the most part. And that's all you can ask as a fan, is these guys are showing up every day and giving it enough to win more than they're losing. Right now, they're also the only team in the Eastern Conference wildcard race with a plus goal differential. Columbus loses last night by 2, so they're at -1. Everybody else deep in the minuses for goal differential. Ottawa currently sits in the number 1 wildcard spot. But the Rangers are rolling 5-0-3 in their last 8 games. They've got a +6 goal differential in those 8 games. They've their power play is red hot. It's 5 out of their last 15, clicking at 33%. Okay. They're figuring it out, and that makes me worried because the players that we're going to talk about are very good and have a lot of experience. I just don't know if their period of playing bad hockey was long enough for the Ottawa Senators to completely ignore them. Like, if they win tonight, they're 2 points back of the Ottawa Senators. They're right there. Here's how the lineup looks. Vinny Trocheck is the top line center between Artemi Panarin and Alexis Lafreniere. We got Mika Zibanejad with Will Cooley and Riley Smith. Third line is Philip Hedl with Chris Kreider and Arthur Kaliev. And then Sam Carrick with David Enstrom and Matthew Rempe. On the back end, it's Ryan Lindgren with Adam Fox, Keandre Miller with Will Borgen, Urko Vakanainen with Braden Schneider, and Jonathan Quick played against the Habs on Saturday night, so we'd imagine it is Igor Shesterkin who beat the Ottawa Senators in their first head-to-head game this year. The Sens lost that game 2-1. They made it close with 7.5 minutes left. It was a 2-0 game with 8 minutes left. Gaudette scores from Brady Tkachuk and Thomas Chabot, and they just could not beat Igor Shesterkin, who made 40 saves. Ottawa outshot them 41-18 in that game, Pilsy, but could not get even a point. So who is your actual lookout player to watch?
My lookout player to watch is number 23, Adam Fox. This guy is just so incredible. I mean, there's a reason why he won the Norris a couple years ago. He's an amazing defenseman, and like Jacob Trouba was a big part of that decor. But when you have Adam Fox, I think the New York Rangers were obviously not worried about letting him go. And this guy racks up points, Ross. Like 3 seasons in a row, he got over 70 points from 2021 to last season. 74 points, 72 points, 73 points as a defenseman. And this year, he's projected to get 65 points. He just had 2 assists up against the Montreal Canadiens, and that was his 10th multi-point game of the year. So they are able to generate a lot of offense based on Adam Fox. He's second on the team in points with 36 points in 46 games, only behind Artemi Panarin. So this guy, every time he's on the ice, which will be a lot, you got to look out for him.
Yeah, you definitely do. One thing I noticed about Adam Fox, though, looking at his numbers, like he was a goal scorer from the back end last year. That's disintegrated. He had 17 goals last year in 72 games, 12 the year before, 11 the year before that. He's got 2 goals in 46 games, man. Like, that makes me nervous because I feel like those numbers are going to pump up eventually. Hopefully not tonight. But Adam Fox, certainly the minute-munching defenseman for the Rangers. A lot of Rangers fans that I saw online, though, they do not like Ryan Lindgren. So I feel like it's almost like a Sanderson-Hamonic situation right now where they're like, yeah, Fox is great, but he's being pulled down by his partner. And look, I have a tough time with fans that are just like hating on defensemen who are like heart and soul guys. How many shots has Ryan Lindgren blocked with the New York Rangers in the playoffs alone? Like, this guy has been a warrior for them, and it feels like classic big market turning their back on players that have meant a lot to them because they're struggling at
There's
a given
always a
time.
whipping boy on defense. There's always.
But in these big markets, they're like, get rid of him, get someone new, get rid of him right now. And they're also saying that about my lookout player in the picture right there. It's Mika Zibanejad, hashtag Sens Abroad. He has been in trade rumors this season. It's come out that the Rangers offered him to Vancouver for JT Miller. Hilarious offer for them. Chris Drury is just, he makes no sense to me, but I can see why they'd like that. But I would imagine there would have had to be some draft pick capital in there. But when you look at Mika Zibanejad so far this season, only 9 goals in 46 games. Much like Adam Fox, his goal scoring dried up. Like, dude, this guy's hit 25 goals in each of his, like, since 2016-17, since his first year with the Rangers, when he only played 56 games. 27, 30, 41, 24. I'm a liar. 24. 29, 39, 26, and then only 9 goals this year, on pace for 17.
Oh, boy.
28 points. He's minus 25 this year, Pilsy, on the New York Rangers. He is as chilly as this morning in Winnipeg. He is ice cold. But since the Rangers have figured it out, he's starting to play better. He's got 7 points in his last 10 games since the new year, minus 3 over that standpoint. But talking to John Chick from Locked On Rangers, he's saying, like, Zibanejad just looks disengaged out there. He looks just like he doesn't want to be there. I believe he's had a few of those puck out over the glass penalties, like just lack of focus plays for Mika Zibanejad. I know that Ottawa doesn't get the matchups tonight, but whether it's the Stützle line or the Norris line, this is the line you have to attack. Zibanejad, Cooley, and Riley Smith. So we'll see if they can do that. But Pilsy, Mika Zibanejad will be my lookout player to watch.
Yeah, that's a good one. I did not realize. I knew he was struggling, Ross, but a minus 25. Holy moly, that is brutal. So
yeah, last year he was plus 15. The year before that, he was plus 25 and plus 30 the year before that.
Yeah, I mean, he's consistently a good player for the Rangers. So this is quite the drop-off. You got to think that maybe just the toxicity of how the Rangers have been, and obviously when your captain gets traded away like that, and then Capo Caco gone, and all the trade rumors going on, that maybe that's affecting him a little bit here.
It's just wild. He's a really good player. Obviously, everyone knows about the shot that he's got in that one-timer position. So stay disciplined tonight. If you're the Ottawa Senators, do not put Adam Fox and Mika Zibanejad on the power play. Make sure that those guys are under control. Pilsy's keys to victory coming up after the break. We'll also look at the out-of-town scoreboard from last night and tonight and give you your Ottawa Senators cheering guide. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Select Quote. In sports, you got to have a winning strategy. You got to have keys to victory. It's how the best teams make it to the Super Bowl, the World Series, and the Stanley Cup Finals. The same goes for life. Having a strategy like life insurance from Select Quote can protect your financial legacy and keep your family's future secure. Select Quote makes it easy to find the perfect life insurance policy for you. As one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience, they've helped over 2 million customers find $700 billion in coverage since 1985. What sets Select Quote apart is their personal touch. Unlike other brokers that offer one-size-fits-all policies, their licensed agents tailor coverage to fit your unique needs. If you're in good health, you might even qualify for same-day coverage of up to $5 million, no medical exam required. And it's more affordable than you'd think. You can get up to $1 million in coverage for as little as $20 a month. Get the right life insurance for you for less at selectquote.com/LockedOnNHL. Go to selectquote.com/LockedOnNHL today to get started. One more time, selectquote.com/LockedOnNHL. Select Quote. They shop, you save.
All right, Pilsy. So it is a 7 o'clock start tonight in New York City. It's Tuesday night, and we are live from MSG. Always look forward to these games. It's the second of third meetings between these two teams. Both so far have been in New York. Sens lose 2-1 in November, and now we turn our attention to tonight's game. Final game is March 8th in Ottawa. Tonight, Pilsy, give me a key to victory for the Ottawa Senators.
All right, Ross, I got one for you. So I always like to go to NHL.com, sort stats at the team stat setting, and try to find some outliers for teams where teams are really good or really bad in some spots. And the Rangers, there's one spot that I'm keying in on here, and that's shots against per game. The New York Rangers allow the third most shots against per game in the NHL. Only the Sharks and the Ducks allow more shots, so those aren't teams you want to be near. In Chicago, right next to the Rangers as well. 31.3 shots allowed per game on average. So get a lot of pucks on net. The goaltending has not been that great for the New York Rangers this year. Something much like Mika Zibanejad having a bad year. It's very rare for the goaltending to struggle here. Igor Shesterkin with very pedestrian numbers, a 15-15-2 record at a .287 .910 save percentage. So not terrible, but certainly not the Igor Shesterkin we're used to seeing. And even Jonathan Quick has been struggling this year too. And if you can get lots of shots on this team, I think you can take advantage. I want to see Brady Tkachuk with at least 4 shots, just ripping that puck on net, creating chaos in front of the net. And I think that's an area where if the Sens want to get some offense, just send pucks towards the net. Keep it simple.
Keep it simple, stupid, against a team that has been playing good hockey. I keep going back to that because when you think of the Rangers, you think about that garbage article about them targeting Brady Tkachuk and just how bad they were right after that. It felt like the whole team was in disarray. But you're right. Even during this stretch of 5-0-3 hockey, they've been outshot in those games. Their penalty kill, though, has been elite right now. Their PK in its last 4 games has only allowed 1 goal. They've allowed 2 goals in their last 6 games on the penalty kill. So we're looking for the Ottawa Senators. That's in 18 attempts, by the way. So their PK is 16 for their last 18. So we're hoping that the Senators can get some work done on the power play, because that's something where it's a key to victory for the Senators, and it's also just something they have to figure out. The power play against the Devils was downright awful. Yeah. They had 1 shot on goal on 3 power plays? Like they got the one in the third period, and it was garbage.
Yeah, the power play simply is not good enough. And that goes to add to the top players not really firing offensively. Although Norris, Batherson, even Sanderson, they started to get things going here a little bit more. But I want to see more from Timmy and Brady.
When's the last time Batherson scored a goal, though? Like he's had some apples recently, but I feel like he hasn't scored a goal in some time. I'm going to look that up right now. I don't even want to make you guess because it's I'm
going to say 6 games.
Oh my goodness. I want to guess even more than that. We've got it up right now. Stats department working hard. He scored a goal in Pittsburgh. And guess what? His last goal before that was against Pittsburgh in the it's almost impossible to stop goal.
Yeah, true. Hey, I was right with 6 games. So that's interesting. But I mean, I'll give Batherson some credit. He has been getting assists, and I think he's been playing decently.
Yeah, 3 assists in his last 5 games. Yeah. But yeah, he emptied the tank in that hat trick against Anaheim, right? Yeah. Since that Anaheim game, he has 2 goals in like 16 games. It's loading for me right now because I'm not a math guy. I don't pretend to be a math guy, but it's been too long since Drake Batherson's had some consistent goal scoring, and his points per game has dipped below 1. We need to get that back to 1, and tonight would be a good time for Drake and for Brady to light the lamp. So let the big dogs eat will be my key to victory. If Drake, Norris, Brady, Stützle, those guys combined for 3 goals, then we're good. Those guys have to contribute.
Yeah, big time. And Ross, right now, the Ottawa Senators don't have any players at a point per game pace as Tim Stützle now 45 points in 46 games. So, come on.
Interesting. We're a defensive juggernaut now, though, Pilsy.
I guess, but I want one guy at a point per game here. At least one.
I think the Sens finish with 2 guys at a point per game. That's a hot take at this point.
No, I don't think it's that crazy. Like Drake could heat up at the end of the year, but I was looking at it, Ross. It's not that crazy to think that the Ottawa Senators could have 5 players in the 30 goal mark this year. Like Timmy with 15, Drake with 14, Brady with 18, Norris with 17, Adam Gaudette with 15. Now, do I think all 5 of those will hit 30? No, but we're right around the halfway point, and all those players have basically halfway to 30. So it could happen. I'm looking at least 3 players to get 30 goals, though.
If Adam Gaudette hits 30 goals, I will buy his jersey, and I will buy another Citizen his jersey as well.
Yeah, that would be the one where it'd be most surprising because he started off so hot and really cooled down. But hey, he's got a couple goals recently.
Yeah, he does, and it's 2 goals in 18 games for Drake Batherson right now. We got to pump those numbers big time. 6 assists during that stretch, so 8 points in 18 games. Hey, +1 though. And like we said going into the year with Drake, like he needs to be better defensively, and he has been that. The whole team's been better defensively, but you don't want to do it at the complete expense of your offensive output, and that's where the Senators are trying to balance right now, where they've allowed the 7th fewest goals in the league in the last 2 months, but let's start putting the puck in the net a little bit here, boys. And tonight would be a great confidence booster if they can beat Igor Shesterkin and the New York Rangers. The Rangers got that sloppy point on Saturday. They gave up 3 separate leads to the Montreal Canadiens, who get 2 points in that game. Yesterday, oh man, it was so close yet so far for the San Jose Sharks, who had a 3rd period lead in Boston against Eunice Korpisalo, but they could not hang on. 2 empty net goals, and it's a 6-3 win for the Bruins. So now Boston is tied back with Ottawa in the standings, albeit Ottawa still with 2 games in hand. 2 games or 1 game in hand now? 2 games in hand on the Bruins, but there was some good news. Despite going up 1-0 in the game, the Columbus Blue Jackets allowed 3 unanswered and ultimately fell to the New York Islanders last night. 3-1 was the final score. So the road woes continue for the Columbus Blue Jackets, which is what I'm hanging on to, with the fact that I don't think they're for real until they get better than, dude, they're 6-13-4 on the road this year.
Yeah, it's not sustainable.
6 wins in 23 games.
Yeah, but I mean, their home record is so good.
They've got more road games left than home. So they've got to figure it out.
No, otherwise, they don't have to figure it out, Ross.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they don't have to.
They don't. Those were really the only 2 games of complete consequence. We did say that we wouldn't mind.
Lightning.
We wouldn't mind, and we didn't mind. The Leafs got a win. 6-4 was the final score there over the Tampa Bay Lightning. And it's always funny seeing the tweets, and it actually kind of hurts my heart, where it's like, man, if Nick Paul played the Leafs every game, he would be Mario Lemieux.
Oh, yeah. So we'll always remember Nick Paul scoring those 2 goals in that Game 7.
Yes, we will. That was that for us in our sad state of affairs at that time in our Senators' history. That was a big moment for us.
We needed that, yeah.
We did. It felt like we kind of helped them win.
Yeah, we were responsible. We took credit for that one.
Yeah, well, I did mention because Jack Richardson in our group chat's like, man, I miss Nick Paul. And I said, hey, I'm on record as saying that if you had told me that Nick Paul would eliminate the Leafs single-handedly in a Game 7, I would have given him away for free. So I can't complain about wanting him back.
We kind of did in hindsight when you look at
the trade tree's dead, right?
The Sens, I think they end up giving more in the trade tree than they receive. So yeah,
they did. Yeah. Well, wait, who was that 4th round pick? This is so off the rails. Ottawa got a 4th round pick in that trade.
Was it a 2024 4th round pick? Because
that's what I'm wondering.
We got a lot of value in that round. People are saying the Sens won the 4th round.
It was a 4th round pick in 2024.
Oh, let's go. Thank you. Okay, we win.
The best 4th round in hockey history, some are saying, with Blake Montgomery, Lucas Ellinas.
Well, was it the Blake Montgomery pick? Do we know which one it was? Now we're really getting deep in here.
24 NHL draft. Who was the other?
Javon Moore.
Javon Moore. Right. Weekend recap. Yeah, I no, they're not saying where those are from. That's the LOSP stats department's going to need a little bit more time on that one.
Fair.
We're going to need a little bit more time. There is a great site though, Trade History Dorian, and you can actually just go. It's called the History of NHL Trades, and usually they do say who goes the other way in terms of who the draft pick was, but I don't think they're going to do it right now. So, all right, that was all for nothing. Stay tuned. I'll tweet that out later if I find it.
Twitter.
But tonight we do have a couple of games of consequence. There's 8 games in the National Hockey League. Of course, all eyes will be in New York City for the Sens and Rangers. But the Tampa Bay Lightning are in Montreal. Pilsy, what is your preferred outcome? Montreal comes into play 2 points back of the Senators, same amount of games played, whereas Ottawa is 1 point behind Tampa for third in the division. If Tampa loses tonight in regulation and the Senators win, tomorrow the Ottawa Senators would wake up third in the division.
Yes. Ross, I know these games really get you going. You have multiple angles, and if this happens, then I want this happen, and all that. And I respect that. You're thinking with your brain. I'm thinking with my heart. I hate the Montreal Canadiens so much that I'm not getting that analytical about it. I just want them to lose.
Okay, that's fine. What I would say then is that if the Sens win, I wouldn't mind if Tampa loses. But if Ottawa loses, I want Tampa to win.
Yeah, okay. I like, again, we've figured out the right way to phrase that, and I like that you've caught on to that now.
We have? Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. I was a little nervous there for a minute. And Pilsy, the LOSP stats department has determined,
man, they're good,
that Blake Montgomery was the pick from the Nick Paul trade.
Okay, well, that is huge. Imagine giving up Blake Montgomery. Oh, fools.
And only getting one Stanley Cup out of it?
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yes, 117th overall in that trade. From Tampa, the Ottawa Senators pick Blake Montgomery. Okay, back to tonight's scoreboard. It's another game we're going to be paying attention to. An all-Eastern battle between the Detroit Red Wings and Philadelphia Flyers. The Red Wings, losers of 2 in a row. They're now third last in the division, despite a 7-game win streak, Pilsy. That's how tight things are.
Yep.
The Flyers are 2 points up on them. So a win for Detroit puts them right back in the pack. A loss for Detroit puts Philadelphia 2 points back of Ottawa. Which way are you leaning here?
Same way, Ross. I'm thinking with my heart, not my head. I want the Detroit Red Wings to lose here. I feel like Philadelphia, it's things are going to catch up to them and they're going to fall out of the race eventually. Maybe that comes back to bite me. And if Flyers fans are watching this, they'll dunk on me for it, but that's okay.
They're watching Eagles coverage right now, buddy.
Yeah, true. Go Birds. But I just don't want the Atlantic to be as tight as it is. And like we talked about with the Locked On Red Wings boys, the rivalry between the Red Wings and Ottawa, although completely meaningless, and they've never played in the playoffs and don't have any sort of like meaningful games, I want to see them fail. So
yeah, that's cool. And I don't mind having teams fall out of the race. Like, I feel like the Islanders are in that spot now where it's like,
oh, they're done. They're dead.
Right? Whereas they were a team that we were cheering against actively. So the less teams that are in the race, theoretically, the higher percentage that your team has to make the playoffs, which is the ultimate goal at the end, at the end of the day.
Yes, sir.
So we're rooting for the Flyers and the Lightning in regulation. But if the Sens win, we don't care as much.
You still are not sure what you want there.
And we're cheering for the Ducks at home to the Panthers, Pilsy. Don't think I forgot about the Panthers, who are only 5 points up on Ottawa, and the Sens have a game in hand.
Go Ducks. Quack, quack.
Quack, quack, quack. We will quack away in the postcast after tonight's game. Join us on YouTube and then wherever you get your podcast. Pilsy, any final thoughts on today's show?
Yes, Ross, we didn't really do a prospect roundup like we usually do on our Monday show. And
let me guess, Blake Montgomery scoring.
Seeing as we just talked about Blake Montgomery, let's do a Blake Montgomery update. The point streak continues now. I can't count all of these quickly, but I believe it's at 13. Maybe the stats department can double check that. I think Sens prospect tweeted it out, but he had another assist in an 8-1 victory over the Wolves. And now that puts him at 34 points in 25 games, 17 goals, 17 assists. This kid is absolutely dominating in the OHL. He's projected to get 70 points in 52 games. Blake Montgomery, what man? Can't believe the Lightning gave up a guy like Blake Montgomery.
12-game point streak per
That's
the
12.
LOSB
Okay.
stats department, and he has 22 points in those 12 games.
Crazy.
Not bad. Not bad. Another note, you might have noticed that Gabriel Eliasson has not been in the lineup the last couple of games for Barrie. He had the flu and is expected to return sooner rather than later. You can say the same for Carter Yakimchuk, who was upgraded to day-to-day, I believe on Thursday or Friday. Our Julian McKenzie posted that one out from the Athletic. So we will be awaiting patiently the return of Carter Yakimchuk, one of the 6 top under 20 defensemen for Canada in junior hockey. All right, enjoy the game tonight. We will look forward to chatting with you after a big game. Big game for the Ottawa Senators. Hey, they play well at MSG. They have historically played very well at Madison Square Garden. So let's enjoy tonight's game. We'll talk about it after. We got a citizen plan for tomorrow. We're going to have a great week here on Locked On Senators. So thank you for liking, watching, engaging with the show, the thumbs up, the 5-star reviews. They all go a long way to helping the show grow. The subscribers have been climbing. The road to 10K is almost halfway. We are 25 away from 95. No, but since we got to 9, that's when the road's
going to say, not a math guy, Ross. 9,400 is much more than halfway to 10,000.
Yeah, so please steal your partners, steal your friends, steal your family members' phones, subscribe to Locked On Senators on
Buy
YouTube.
a new phone, make a new account, and subscribe and like with that as well.
Yes, anyone who's proficient in Gmail, make sure to create new accounts and subscribe to the podcast. That 10K milestone is within sight, and the Senators are within sight of a playoff spot. We'll be following it all along with you all way through. For today, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.